Hello and welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 45. It's a podcast where we talk a lot about just what we're doing, so hope that's not boring. And then we also talk about pop culture things that we like.
Just a little side project, yeah.
Yeah. My name is John. The lovely tones over yonder are from Andrea. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I like that introduction.
Do you?
My lovely tones from yonder. I don't know. Might have to write that on my acting resume or something. Give me a voiceover job.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever needed a woman with lovely tones from yonder.
Yeah. Where's yonder exactly? Well, anywhere you want it to be.
Follow my lovely tones and you'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of acting, I was excited. I thought I was going to have another hand modeling gig this week, but it fell through.
No, so close.
Know.
What happened? Tell us a story.
Well, my sister just reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in having your hands in photographs again? Last time I was a hand model, it wasn't like a hand. It was hands, but it was also like everything. So this was actually just going to be hands and for watches.
Oh,
but
fun!
I guess it didn't work out with the client. So
bummer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have started building your hand model portfolio.
I know. I was like, I gotta drink a lot of water. I'm lotioning my hands like mad. It's like I thought
Take
I had
care of your
another
nails.
yeah, right. So, but no luck. So that's
bummer.
been my last bit of excitement here. How have you been? How's your week and stuff?
Good. Obviously, since we last spoke, we've transitioned into a new year. It's 2021. Yay. Welcome. It's funny that a lot of people I've talked to and I've wished, a happy new year to, are like, oh, everybody keeps saying everything's going to be so different in 2021. And so far, I don't know that it's any different from 2020. And I'm choosing to be on the other side of that and say, I feel like 2020 left us a low bar to clear for it to be a better year. So
okay,
I believe it can be one. So go 2021.
Nice. I'll get back to that. I just had to call out quickly in the chat because Val's in chat and Lucas too. And Luke was saying he made a 3D printed watch holder even. And so he's ready for it. And then we can do something for free later just for my portfolio, for my hand modeling portfolio.
To make up for the disappointment.
Yeah. Yep. And fitness trainers here too. So thanks for jumping in. Yeah.
It's a party.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can go with that. Yeah. Low bar to clear, Mm-hmm. Everybody will have what we make of it. That's for sure. Yeah. So.
Yes. Did you do anything fun for New Year's?
Not on New Year's night. No, we I forgot what was going on earlier in the day. There was something that took up a lot of the day, but then in the evening, it just so happened that Deadmau5 was live. And so they have I think it was, I don't know if it was Florida or I think it was California actually. There was they call it drive and rave, park and rave, something like that, You drive your car in and there's stalls for people and stuff. And there's a whole bunch of people performing that night. But we watched some fireworks from Japan on YouTube. And then eventually he was live. And so I watched, Deadmau5's I don't know what it was, 2-hour set or something. It was really good.
Oh, wow.
So.
Kept you pumping the whole 2 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't didn't do much on New Year's Eve?
No, it wasn't that crazy of a time. We played trivia, which we haven't done in a while. So that was actually pretty fun. Trivia Mafia, which is the company I think that started in Minnesota. And they're the ones who kind of go out to bars and, do like hosted trivia nights. And they're kind of like,
Sure.
they've got quite a reputation in the Twin Cities now for like being the go-to trivia hosts. But obviously since the pandemic started, they've moved all of their hosting online. So we joined like the regular Thursday night crowd, um, and did some trivia, which was pretty fun. We didn't win anything, but of course we're like competing again against like teams of 10, 12, 20 people, even online. So it's just like
Okay.
Chris and I,
A
but it was
bar
fun.
with kind of, small bar,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah. So it was kind of fun, just to get back into that. We hadn't done it in a while. And they had, of course, some New Year's trivia, which was pretty fun. And then we just relaxed, watched more Great British Baking Show holidays. We finished up like the last available season of it, including
Okay.
they had an episode where they'd never done this before. They had an episode where they invited the cast of a show to come in and just like compete for fun against each other. And it's the cast of the Netflix show Dairy Girls, which is set in Ireland. And they were really fun. I mean, of course, actors are going to be, natural,
Yeah.
hams and camera people, and
Right.
they have great comments and stuff.
Whoops,
So
I made a mistake. It's funny.
right, exactly. And they were all like pretty terrible bakers, which added to the enjoyment.
Okay.
But they played a few clips of Dairy Girls, and that looks pretty funny. Like it kind of looks like a show I would watch. So might have to
Yep.
check that out. And then we closed out the night by watching about 10 minutes right before the countdown of, New Year's shows, like the hosted countdowns, which were very, very painful to watch. They were
They're
so
always
awkward.
painful.
This
It's
was
always
worse
bad.
though, because there was no crowds. So the
Mhm.
hosts were like really overcompensating by like
Mhm.
bringing their energy up to like just sheer mania. And it was just so uncomfortable to watch them be that excited for nobody that it was just total cringe. Like I was just like, oh, take it down, guys. You got to
There's
pull it
something
back
about
a little
all those
bit.
things that just irk me and trigger my gag reflex and stuff these
Yeah.
days. That's why I was so stunned by the Disney done Christmas thing this
Right.
year.
Right. You said
That's
you
like
didn't, you did enjoy that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fitness trainers asking about podcast resolutions for the new year.
Ooh.
I definitely want to. It's been a while since we've had a graphics change or anything like that.
Sure.
So yeah, I have some stuff I want to work on getting, and it's for getting some motion. We'll change up our. I don't know. I like that we just have basically two full images here. So it's not a lot of wasted space, but I don't know. A lot of podcasts do some movement in the background and some animating, intro screens and stuff like that. So I could work on something of that nature.
Yeah, give us a
How
little
about you?
facelift sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should get back into having guests on at some point.
Yeah, might as well once in a while, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's been a while. And I know we've been watching some of the same things as some of, our friends who are experts on certain things or just have very strong opinions. So sometimes it's fun to get like a third, fourth voice in here to, shake us up, see what they think, see what we do and don't agree with. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Luke's saying some screen sharing sort of thing. So we'll have to see how Alan feels about that. But because I've thought of that as well, because we could basically do stuff where just when we're talking about a specific article or something like that, then you pull up the screen and dominate it with the article that you can go through a little bit, or with images of someone or something we're talking about a little bit.
Yeah.
But that gets to be quite a bit. So that could also be a thing of after the fact edited videos. So still having the live stream and then either way, but it's all kinds of things we could do that way for sure. Yeah, but that's good. Leave us comments. Let us know.
Yeah. What do you want to see?
For sure. Mm-hmm. We need to know too if like people want to see us going through specifically the shows on a weekly basis, because we were doing 2 episodes a week, one about a show more dedicated and one regular, and that's a possibility. I kind of like the way we're doing it with one because we have more to talk about. I mean, I guess our episodes get long, but they were long anyways. So,
Yeah, I don't know that that'll ever change.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's what we got there. So you're saying Dairy Girls looks good.
Yeah.
Chill New Year's Eve. Let's see. New Year's Day, we did watch I think this was New Year's Day. We did watch Eclipse. Twilight Saga's Eclipse.
Oh no.
You're like, I think that I know what that is, right? But,
yeah.
Yeah. So
I was hoping there was some other Eclipse.
Nope. That one. So we did that, and yeah. So that was fun. And then the day after, like last minute, Tony's been trying to come out and visit. So Tony came out and visited too. So
nice.
Lots going on there. Just New Year's Eve itself is pretty chill.
Yeah, I feel like everybody I've talked to has kind of said the same thing, that, this year is just low key. I feel like next year, well, this year into next year, I should say. It's always hard to talk about New Year's. When hopefully we've all been vaccinated and we're all, got COVID under control, as is, I think, everybody's wish for this year. I think New Year's Eve is going to be quite different. I think it's going to be, we're going to party twice as hard to make up for the quiet year that we've had. So maybe good to take one off and rest and relax a little bit and just be at home. And then next year we'll
364 days off.
Yeah. You got to save it up to bring it.
You got to really, save it up. Well, and then Val's asking in the chat about different beer, like if I have beer sometimes, or things with beer cans attached to it. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Like a beer helmet, like with those two, like little, and a straw to go in your mouth.
Have you tried the head thing? Okay, wow, you got that. That's what it is. Yep. All right. No, I have not tried that, and I will not wear that. So
what?
Nope. I'll leave that to you, Andrea.
We'll
put that non-alcoholic beer in there.
I know we've got a friend who has one, and I know you were there to see him get it. So we've got resources, John, if you want to try it out.
Nope. It's all right.
All right.
Otherwise, this week, I finished Cyberpunk 2077.
All right.
I played it for quite a bit the other day, and then I was basically depressed afterwards. Like it went through a lot, and it's like, this is just dour, and oh my gosh. And so I talked to Ashley a little bit, and I went for a different ending. So I replayed the end with a different ending, because there was like 5 endings or whatever. And so you can see what the difference are. It was definitely better and more uplifting. So I have to say it helped, because I won't spoil anything, but my time with the game is done for now till DLC. So
well, it sounds like you've only played 2 out of the 5 endings. What about the other 3?
No, I'm not going to put myself through these other things that I just wouldn't do. Like there's some options that I had that I would consider, and they were tough choices for me. There are other ones that just wouldn't do. Okay. So I can look those up, see what they are, And then Luke started playing on his stream Spellbreak this week, so I've jumped in on that some. Lucas 333 with a K. So that's been cool. It's like wizard battles. It's a battle royale, but with wizards. Okay. And you sort of pick up your gear along the way on the map and stuff. And
okay. So is it fun. like melee style?
No, I mean you
Or you
basically
face
get
like
like
one opponent?
two gauntlets,
Okay.
and you have like a primary one, and they're all like elemental based in a way. So you'd have fire or electric or whatever, on your one, and then the other you pick up one along the way, an ice one or something, and then it's like distance attacks with them, like launching firebolts or throwing making a big rock thing or whatever, and then
Okay.
you can kind of combine the different ones. So like if you're throwing fire and then you have wind on the other, then you create a fire tornado. And so it just gets
Oh,
to be
okay.
really big, pretty chaotic battles that are pretty fun.
Sounds
So
cool.
yeah. I ran a D&D one shot again, watched Disney's Hercules for the first time.
Shut up.
Um,
You've never
yeah,
seen Hercules before?
no, I'd never seen that. It's one of Ashley's favorites. And
Oh no. Okay,
yeah.
well, give us your quick and dirty review. What did you think?
There's a lot of really convenient I mean, if I don't look at it too hard, I don't consider it like look at
Okay,
it like a kid's movie. I
right,
enjoyed the
it's Disney.
songs. Yeah, I enjoyed the songs. I enjoyed the kind of cute romance in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I liked it overall. It was enjoyable. Heracles, Alan is correcting me there. Wow. Disney spelled it
Tell that to Disney.
Hercules. Yeah. We were talking about that. Why do we do that pronunciation? Why
Yeah,
Hercules?
it's Greek
Greek
versus
versus
Roman.
Roman, huh?
Yep.
Huh.
It's like how a lot of the gods' names changed usually into
In
something
spelling.
quite different.
Mhm.
But then like sometimes they would translate like the stories of heroes and it's like Hercules versus Heracles.
Huh.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
The borrowing of culture or just like the mass
Yeah.
theft, I guess, really.
Yeah.
And then the poor disguise to make it yours, but
Well, they're packed in there in the Mediterranean, and let's talk about the game of telephone doesn't go so well. So
yeah, not in this case. Although this is
yep.
close. Um
Yep.
Yeah, Hercules was one of my favorite Disney movies. The muses are just like the best part. They have the best songs.
They it's well acted.
Yeah.
The art is definitely unique from other Disney. It's a
Mhm.
very different character models, but I'm okay with that. So
Where would you put
yeah.
in your Disney pantheon?
Well, I'm not a big Disney guy,
Okay.
so but I mean, having grew up with most of them as a kid, but then not cared much later.
Mhm.
My favorite is probably either it's still going to be Aladdin or Robin Hood.
Oh, like
Uh,
the Fox
the
animated
Fox,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen, in fairness, I haven't seen Robin Hood in years and years. So maybe it's
Okay.
trash and I don't remember. But yeah, those two are my top, and everything else is like inconsequential, kind of.
Okay.
I love the music to Beauty and the Beast. I love Elton John's songs for Lion King.
Yeah.
In more modern stuff, I liked Ratatouille.
Sure.
So this is just in there somewhere with that.
Okay.
How about you? It's one of your favorites, you're saying?
Definitely one of my favorites for sure. Um I love a lot about like all the characterization, and I love James Woods as Hades. It's so much fun. He's just so slick talking. He's a great time. Um it's actually funny cuz like Chris and I ended up sort of stumbling onto watching The Lion King, the new one, the 2019 live action version the other day. And Chris has never been a big Disney fan either. He just same thing, kind of grew up with them, but never really like was into it. And I was surprised that he was so into The Lion King. He was like, I love the music. It's so great. Like, that's the best part. And he also, so I asked him what his favorites were, and he said The Lion King and then also said Aladdin, like you.
Okay.
So that was kind
I
of funny
just
to
love
me.
Jafar. I love. Robin Williams is so
Yes.
perfect,
Yes,
and
definitely.
that's part of what I don't want to understate how well Disney has done in the past with these films and
Mhm.
like the impact they've made and the great animation they have and
Mhm.
but now it's just reusing everything. It's just let's make it all live action, which I'm dead
Yeah.
set against. Um,
I have to
so
agree with you. I didn't think that the live action version of The Lion King brought anything new to the game. And in
mhm,
fact, I mean, it was cool to see, live animals or live-ish animals.
sure.
Um, but it was really hard for me to dissociate from like the animated version and to
Hmm.
not be like disappointed when things weren't the same. Um, I missed Jeremy Irons as Scar. He's just
Yeah.
so iconic.
Hmm.
It's such a great villain role for him. About the only thing that wasn't disappointing to me was James Earl Jones still being Mufasa
Sure.
because
Yep.
also iconic.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, I agree. I don't think the live action brings anything new to the table, and I think it kind of ruins like the magic of the animated versions. So,
And and that's not to say they're not quality films. I don't know.
mm,
But I've said it before on here plenty of times, and I'll say it again. Disney is like they don't understand what makes animation great.
mhm,
When you take something that you bring alive because you animate it,
mhm,
it's just a different thing to make it just a live action whatever.
right,
And it seems weird for the company that's like made themselves on this
mhm,
as the animators for I mean generations now, it seems,
right,
to not understand or not to see the importance of animation anymore
right,
and to
right,
lessen their own properties.
right. Yeah, definitely have to agree with you there.
Well, I spat off a bunch of stuff I did this week, kept me busy. Anything else you want to call out before we get into actual news and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to remember my week. I did I did accomplish one of my first resolutions that we talked about on the last show, and I read more. So I
Okay.
finally finished. I had a book from the library that was a teensy bit overdue, so I decided to finally finish it. um, and that was
1994.
thousands of dollars, you
Yeah.
know, in my overdue fees. Don't tell. Um, but I read Magic Lessons, which is a prequel by Alice Hoffman to her hit novel turned movie Practical Magic, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, I finished that and it was actually pretty good. It was a nice like origin story of the whole Owens family and how how like this line of witches comes to be and how they get cursed. I don't think I'm really giving too much away in the movie because they give you
well,
that.
don't
Oh, they.
say too much because maybe we should do an episode or a few of them sometime on our like we'll each watch each other's favorite movies.
Ooh, that would be
You know,
fun. Yeah, Practical
especially
Magic
if
for me
it's
is up there.
odd picks. Yeah, like I've never
Yeah,
heard of it even. So
Practical Magic.
no.
Really? Sandra
Mm-mm.
Bullock and Nicole Kidman are in it. It's like,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it for the time it wasn't like big budget blockbuster or anything, but it's definitely
Sure.
become like a cult classic and
Okay.
has excellent Diane Wiest is in it, Stockard Channing. Um, yeah, excellent film. Um, but yeah, so yeah, what I've said so far doesn't really give too much away because, like I said, this goes over the first 2 minutes of the introduction in the movie. But excellent book, so that was fun. And then the other big thing that I did over the past week was I totally devoured the last part 4 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix.
Now that's like season 4.
Yes.
Or they're like shorter seasons, you're saying, or something?
Yeah, they're just shorter seasons. They're 8 1-hour episodes per
Oh,
part.
okay.
But
Okay.
really they're seasons. I don't know
Okay.
why Netflix does that sometimes. So that came out, I believe, December 31st, actually.
Is that it
So
now? That was the
that
end, or was there one more?
yes, this was the end, definitely. Series ending. And if anybody out there has watched it, you'll know why it was definitely the ending. um, but it was a fun closing chapter. It was a good show. I really, really enjoyed it. I think they did a great update um, of like combining the comics and then taking like some of the fun and magic from like the 90s sitcom-y show and bringing it into like this darker version. And they do a really great callback to that 90s show that I don't want to spoil for anybody,
Okay.
but it's really the best. So
Yeah, it's good. I know Val and Luke were, yeah, that's what I was saying too. They didn't watch that yet, but
yeah, I won't.
they were watching it.
I won't spoil it, but it's fun. It's a good last season. It's a good little swan song for the show to close out on. Even if I am disappointed that there won't be more episodes.
Sure. Well, at least you can be happy that you liked what there was.
Yeah,
So,
they got
it
to
doesn't.
they got to go out on their own terms, and they got to have like a final ending,
Right.
which yeah doesn't get to
A
happen
lot of
for every
shows don't.
show.
Yeah. Yep. Well, cool. Did you bring your show and tell?
I did. I did.
Okay. All right. We said last week we were gonna do show and tell. What do you got?
So I have a couple of different nerdy things because we were talking about
Okay.
our resolutions. Um, and then we were also talking about Christmas. So I brought one of my first funny nerdy things that I got for Christmas, which is a bust of Julius Caesar. Whoops, here we go.
Uh-huh.
And he's a pencil holder. He's
Wow,
being stabbed in the back.
Yep. That's clever.
So that was a gift from my father-in-law, as was this little
That's
beauty
nice.
that I'm going to be busting out, my Shakespeare insult generator.
Nice.
So
Nice.
you just flip open to a random page, which I am going to do.
Oh man, here it comes.
Oh,
Here
look
it
out,
comes.
John.
I had to prepare myself.
John, I declare you are a goatish, leptis-leering parasite. And that means you're a moldy, stale, clumsily moving idiot.
Yep. You got me. Nailed.
Right there. Got you where it hurts.
That's yeah, burn. Yep, that's right.
Or would you prefer to be a beslubbering, clay-brained braggart?
I mean, I do like the word braggart.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still sort of like a little bit of the same thing. You're one who is slow to understand or thick-skulled, but
I mean, I have to imagine that's going to
cooler.
be a way to say you're an idiot.
Exactly.
You're a slow fool. Yeah,
That's some
good.
classic Shakespeare, is different ways to call you an idiot. So
You should bring that, or like scratch some on your hand or something for Renfest. So
yes,
if someone ever pays for an insult, you can respond in kind.
yes. Yeah, if they try to use any of this, I'll A, know what they're saying, so I can translate, and B, give as good as I get, maybe, or as someone else gets.
That's very nice. I think you should sign all of your work emails with some new combination.
See how
Like,
long it takes my colleagues to like figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you just change your signature for your emails once a week. You know.
Yep, I like it. Yeah, I could definitely have some fun with that. So that was another good nerdy Christmas present for my father-in-law. And then this is not a Christmas present, but like I said, it was about our New Year's resolutions. So this is what I am reading this week. It is
Oh,
Monster,
shoot.
She Wrote. It's all about women who wrote horror and like gothic
Mm.
terror and sort of started um, female writers getting into the genre. So of course they talk about like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein as like one of the pioneers of
Sure.
this type of fiction, but it's a lot of like lesser known um, women writers who dabbled in this kind of fiction because it was so on the fringe and it wasn't really mainstream, so women could sort of dabble in this genre and gain fame, and then they kind of brought it into the mainstream, and then men started writing more horror and
Because they're
stuff like that
witches.
because they're witches. So it's kind of a fun like mix of a history book, but also like a recommendation guide about like
Yeah.
what you should
I
read.
think that'd be nice. You'll probably get a bunch of things out of here to look into.
Exactly. So yeah, so I'm having fun with that so far.
That's good. And
And
yeah, there's so many great books out. I mean, just like with anything, well, particularly things you can do by yourself. So
mhm,
music and books, like those in particular, I think there's just endless great content out there
mhm.
that just doesn't make the charts, doesn't get noticed, whatever, And so it
Yeah.
can be hard to discover that stuff.
Yeah, so this is an area which I've kind of more recently delved into, and I'm looking forward to finding out what I can find out, what I haven't known about.
Nice. I've had
So,
my own dabbling in horror writing recently, just
yes, tell us
because
about that.
of D&D. Like I
Hmm.
just like to make things creepy, and so I send people these dream texts of the dreams they have or whatever their characters
Ooh,
do, and uh I
that
get pretty
sounds
dark.
tough.
I got to be careful who I'm playing with and what I'm telling
Uh-huh.
them, because but that's it. That's lots of fun to me. So
Do you
yeah.
find it hard to write dreams? Because aren't
Um,
dreams, or do you still write them like a story? Because dreams can be very story-like, or they can be very illogical, and
I
it's hard to not make
mm,
them goofy if
mm,
you're doing like the
yeah.
illogical dreams.
To me, it just is that sandbox then that you can write whatever you want,
Okay.
basically. I write, it's I try to be frenetic about it,
Mhm.
and these kind of things. So this happens, this happens, this happens,
Mhm.
and then trying to say what you feel, I guess. So I suppose I'm imbuing them with some feelings, but um, yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I get what you're saying though. Like if I was writing a dream that, you know, doesn't make any sense as you reiterate it or tell
Mhm.
someone about it. But these are kind of like visions.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know, yeah,
That
I
sounds
love it.
cool.
Yeah. Well, my show and tell is a new record I got.
Ooh.
Um, so every once in a while, I get a new vinyl record that's a collector's something or another.
Uh-huh.
And this one is a Cowboy Bebop record that they put out.
I was gonna
Um,
say, I recognize that very iconic image.
yes, it's got a lot of artwork on there that I've quite enjoyed from the show,
Uh-huh.
including one of my favorites. And it's got. I'll show you the other one because it will probably show up better. But
Okay.
there is um, there's a really cool marbling to the records. Sometimes people do records that they're white out or
Mhm.
they're a color or whatever. But these, if I can take it out without dropping it, these are marbled, um, all fancy like.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I
Wow. Neat.
yeah, I'm excited to listen to it, put on my headphones, and then this is the one piece of art that's one of my favorites from
Mhm.
Bebop. So yeah, that's my piece. I pre-ordered it some time ago, and then forgot that I pre-ordered it. So it was kind of a nice little surprise um, showing up in the mail. Yeah,
Christmas gift
but
to you.
yeah, that's
Surprise.
right. Hmm.
It's Santa.
Yep. So real exciting for our listening audience. I know I should more intricately describe each thing, but yeah, you just have to check out the visual part for that, I guess. So, okay, that's the intro. Drinks. It is a shorter news week, so we'll talk about the drink holidays, a little bit of news, and then we're gonna get into Cobra Kai, the Netflix show. We'll be talking about season 1. And we both, it looks like, oh no, oh yeah, okay, we both made it through episode 8.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Which is
we're not quite done.
Yeah, we're not quite finished with the first season, but it's farther than we agreed to get.
Yes, we were gonna say about halfway.
Yeah, and I felt like I was really interested genuinely in keeping on watching the show. So I just was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I saw you were kind of keeping going too. So I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's see. Oh crap. Andrea started one more episode. I better like get that one in too. So
I know I couldn't help it. It was just so good. Like I like the half-hour episodes sometimes, you know. You watch hour-long episodes and sometimes you're like, oh man, like I'm really pushing to get through it. But these were like easy digestion, like just one more. So
Yep.
But anyway, before we get to that,
mm-hmm.
So we're kicking off 2021. Our first national drink holiday is National Bloody Mary Day on the 1st, coinciding also with the celebrated National Hangover Day, which on the day after New Year's, I think makes a lot of sense. Perhaps not this year.
Celebrating a holiday, man.
That's right. You got to do what you got to do. Everybody celebrates in their own way. Again, might not make much sense this year, but I think in 2022 might be a much more celebrated day. And I know many people like Bloody Marys for on their own or their taste, or you know, just enjoy drinking them at brunch. But then I know a lot of people also use them as a hangover remedy. So I think the dual holiday is quite fitting, indeed.
Okay.
I am not unfortunately celebrating either either holiday, mostly because I can't. But I think it makes a lot of sense. So
what's the other part? Mostly because you can't?
Okay, all the way because I can't.
All because I can't, yeah. I like your have any good hangover remedies, and you bring up some people as drinking a Bloody Mary, which I don't understand. Okay, to me, like if you're an alcoholic, then you're like, oh, I just need another drink, you know, because you need to keep it in your system. That's the only way you're going to feel good. Yeah. If I have a hangover, the last thing I want to think about is alcohol. Mm-hmm. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to taste it. Are you different, or do you have you know a little? It's like the hair on the dog thing, whatever.
If I'm truly hungover, I am with you. I do not want to think about alcohol. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to taste it. Like I don't want it, you know, in our house. But if I just have like a wine headache or something, then yeah, like I've you know woken up the next day and thought, yeah, maybe to get rid of this headache, like I'll just have like a mimosa or like a screwdriver or something, and then you know, you go about your day, and it's not like, oh man, I need another 12 drinks after that. So yeah, so it kind of depends. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, if I'm really hungover, then we got to get into greasy food. And we've got to get into I'm really like a total fan of carbonation because I usually have an unsettled stomach. So I usually need to drink like a fizzy water or a Sprite or a ginger ale to kind of like settle all that down.
How about you, fitness trainer? You're all into the greasy food, right? Remember he lambasted us previously about less soda or something.
That's right. Yeah, I took you to task over your Mountain Dew, and now I'm on here like promoting the hash browns and fried eggs and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
full 9 yards. But yeah, that's definitely my go-to is like greasy food, and then balance that out with some carbonation.
Sure. Yeah, same here. I think
Hmm.
that's what makes sense. Crave pizza or like you say, the big breakfast brunch kind
Yep.
of thing.
Yep.
That's what does it. And then like that melds well in, I guess, into National Drunk Day. I mean, man, they line up these holidays.
Oh yeah.
I mean, National Hangover Day, we could have spaced this out. National Hangover Day could have been after St. Patrick's Day or something,
Right. I was a little
you know?
surprised, but apparently New Year's is a harder drinking day than St. Patrick's Day.
I think probably because it's so universal. Oh, it's a new
Yes.
year. I mean, even if you don't do anything for it, you're a part of it, or it's
Right.
very easy too. So St. Patrick's Day, I think plenty of people are still like, well, I'm not Irish or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah. There's a disconnect, I think, between like everybody thinking about St. Patrick's Day as such like a hard drinking day, and oh, like, the people out at the bars are going crazy, but if you're at home, you're not necessarily doing much. Whereas, like you said, New Year's is more universally celebrated. So more people, more opportunities to probably ring in the new year with a little libation.
yep. Well, do you have any non-alcoholic beverage there today, or I mean, other than water
I
or something?
I do. Speaking of hangover remedies, I've got my carbonated water, little sparkling water, and some lime juice.
Okay.
And that's been like my weird like craving over the
Okay.
past week, which I'll take.
Yeah.
They tell you
Right.
pregnancy cravings can get weird, and you can like want to devour an entire Burger King or Taco Bell or something. Haven't had that urge yet, but have really like enjoyed like a tart soda. So I'll take it.
That's good because I mean, I understand. Like, I mean, not that I understand being pregnant, but I understand like
That'd be a whole nother
when
show,
you're
John.
yeah when you're craving something or whatever, or you're very hungry, it's tough to not be just agitated by that.
Yes.
Then you're gonna not let yourself have that thing.
Right.
Like when I go on my streaks of needing to lose some weight or whatever, then it's just a couple days. That's the thing with that. A couple days where like, nope, can't do that. And it's just easy to be grumpy and it's annoying. So if you can have good cravings, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I
All
mean,
I want is celery. Weird.
oh no, guess I have to
Yeah.
go to the store. Um, there's definitely an element of like if a fast food commercial is on the television, like it
Mm,
immediately looks great and I want
sure.
it.
Yep.
Um, but it hasn't gotten to the level of where I need to send Chris out to go get it. Like I have to
Right.
have it.
Yep.
So feeling lucky that way.
Yep. That's good. All right. And we only have one sad thing,
Yeah.
promise, and then it won't be sad. Um, but you found this about Tanya Roberts having
Yes.
passed away, former Bond girl.
Mhm.
Um,
She's on
I That's the only
Charlie's
thing I'd known her
Angels.
from. Yeah. And then that 70s show. Who is she in that 70s show?
She
Like a
is
guest star?
Nope, she's Donna's mom, Midge. If you remember like the very, very early seasons.
Mm.
She's a ditzy blonde who's kind of
Mm.
got some Farrah hair, and
Yeah.
she's pretty attractive. So all the guys are like, "Oh man, hot mom."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and which I hadn't put the two together. I remembered her
Mm.
separately from Bond, and then remembered her from that 70s show, and just had not put together that she was both characters in my brain. So that was a
Sure.
little
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, so she did quite a
Yeah.
lot.
Pretty young,
Mhm.
died of complications from a UTI. That
Yeah.
shocked me. I was like,
Yeah.
what? What? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know it could get that
But
bad that,
crazy stuff happens.
yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately the circumstances of her passing were a little bit confused to the point where apparently she been declared dead. And then she wasn't quite. The hospital was able to revive her, told her husband that she was alive, and then she passed away again. So it was it was a very rough weekend, and terribly tragic for both her and her husband, who of course believed she was, going to be fine. So yeah, very, very sad news, unfortunately, all around.
What'd you think of the Bond movies she was a part of?
A View to Kill?
Yeah. Or do you remember that one much?
I do. It's one of the few Roger Moore ones that I've seen, because Roger Moore is not, unfortunately, my favorite Bond.
But one of the few you've seen? You haven't seen them all?
I haven't seen all of Roger Moore's. No. Okay. I think, God, what? I know, because there was a list. It was in the list of like all of the ones that he's been in, and I'm trying to remember now which one I hadn't seen. I'd seen Live and Let Die, Man with the Golden Gun, Moonraker. That's what I haven't seen. So,
trying to get on the Star Wars bandwagon there. Yeah. We got to go to space.
Yeah, I know they did a lot of like experimenting, I feel like, with settings in Roger Moore's era. And I remember this one in particular, both because it was set in the US and because Christopher Walken was in it.
Yes.
He was the villain. So
he's the best part of that movie, generally speaking, I would say.
Too true. So I do like this movie. Yeah, just it's not in my top Bond movies because, again, I'm not a Roger Moore fan. So
sure. Yep.
But I think she was a pretty good Bond girl.
Yeah, I don't remember the movie that well. Like, to me, the thing that stands out is Christopher Walken.
Yeah, of
course. Just remember he had a cool look in there, and that's about it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, unfortunately, I think she did a good job. She was a perfectly fine Bond girl, but yeah, I mean, the whole movie is overshadowed by Walken. So.
Yep. Well, sorry for the family, and someone I am not sorry for is Nicolas Cage, and his show History of Swear Words.
Yeah.
Is out now on Netflix.
Yes, dropped today.
Yes. And so I'm excited to watch that. We're definitely going to watch at least one episode tonight. Nice. Got to give it a shot.
Nice. It's been reviewing well. Not too serious, and Nick Cage isn't the one exploring like the history and the etymology of these swear words. Like, they do have like they do have actual experts come on to discuss this.
I don't want to hear from experts. I want to hear from Nicolas Cage.
Well, I've heard that he's kind of like the candy coated fun, in the episode, and like a good host. You can tell he's really enjoying what he's doing, and has a lot of fun, obviously saying the swear words. But yeah, I'm glad it's not just like Nick Cage shouting swear words at me and then trying to tell me some history.
I mean, I don't know. I could get behind that.
You can get into that.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'll definitely give my impressions next week.
Yeah. I think at some point I'll have to sit down and watch it too. Chris was interested in watching it because he's really missing Drunk History, and he's sort of hoping that this is kind of a similar setup, maybe. Not quite the same, obviously, but something similar. So we'll have to watch at least one as well and give our impressions.
My version of Drunk History is Hitalia. I'll take that. Hitalia is. But, and then one last thing, Nintendo bought Next Level Games, which doesn't seem super surprising, I guess, but it sounds like they were sort of pushed into it because Next Level Games was looking for a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
and they've had a good partnership with Nintendo. They made the last 2 Luigi's Mansion games.
Right.
So I think that it didn't cross most people. It didn't cross my mind that the studio making Luigi's Mansion 3 wasn't a part of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they're on board, and Luigi's Mansion is great. So hopefully we get more of that, and yeah, more great things from a clearly talented studio. So
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice. I know last year we kind of had lamented in the gaming world that Nintendo didn't do a whole lot. So potentially with another creator under their belt, they can put something out maybe in this year.
okay. So our weeks were busy,
Mm-hmm.
and news was slow. And Cobra Kai is here to steal the show. So we've got we just started Cobra Kai season 1, and well, I shouldn't say we just started. I mean, kind of did, because relative time wise, we just started,
Mm-hmm.
but we are both through episode 8. So okay, Siri thinks I'm talking to her.
Maybe she's got some thoughts on Cobra Kai.
I know she probably does. The So we should have spoilers, because we're going to get spoilery here. We have not quite finished season 1, as I've said. So chat, don't spoil it for us either. What are your thoughts so far? Episodes 1 through 8, Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I like it a lot so far. Obviously, like I said, I found it easy to watch, easy to get into. We kept going, farther than we'd planned on doing. So I think that says something for a show that I was sort of into in the beginning, in the sense of I'd never really gotten into Karate Kid as a kid.
Right.
It obviously was a big movie, and I'd watched it more for the like cultural context rather than the enjoyment of it. Um, and then I remember being a huge fan of the show How I Met Your Mother, and Billy Zabka, who of course here is Johnny Lawrence, our main star in Cobra Kai, made an appearance on that show, and um sort of like was like, oh yeah, I remember. It was a little bit of nostalgia. Like I remember Karate Kid, and I went back and watched it. It was kind of like, oh, fun. Like it's not as odd as I remember. And then I saw Cobra Kai was coming to Netflix, and was like, yeah, like I'll get back into that nostalgia again. This seems to be doing
Sure.
pretty well. Because Netflix picked this show up for its 3rd season now, which was just released after the first 2 seasons had been on YouTube Premium, and had done really well. I do remember hearing about it, um, just hadn't like checked it out yet. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity. And Netflix has already greenlit season 4, so I know that there'll be more. Um, but yeah, first impressions, definitely a lot more fun, I think, than the Karate Kid movie. And
Yeah.
I don't know that it's solely due to the perspective change, or if it's, a little bit of kind of getting that 80s nostalgia, but also like getting a modern update. It's kind of like one of those shows that's bringing, like Netflix did Fuller House, which brought back like Full House. They're into a lot of that, like bringing back the nostalgia, but updating it for a modern time. And I'm definitely here for that trend. So I think this was kind of like a fun way to do that for me, but it updated something I hadn't really enjoyed in the first place. And so I think I conversely find that more enjoyable.
Sure.
So
I think it's just tone.
sure.
I remember seeing the Karate Kid movie as well, and yeah, I left my notes. I was never really a big fan. It just, I don't know, didn't grab me or whatever. And I think with this, I mean, I'm sure this will make me appreciate the movie more. I mean, I certainly like the way that they're working the bits of the movie in, and I didn't realize it would be so connected. When I was going
Yeah.
into it, I thought that it would be okay, so we're getting the other side of
Right.
this and a story, but I didn't realize the Karate Kid would be in it. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize that it would be so involved between the two of them. And I mean, if I have one thing to say, wow, like to people can't let these childhood squabbles and problems
Yeah.
go after so many years. It's wow.
Yeah.
In the last episode we watched, episode 8, it just ended with um, Lawrence's car getting torched. And I'm
Mhm.
like, this is escalating fast.
Yes.
This is not good. And it all comes down to communication. Just if
Yes.
everybody just talk to each other, because we're starting to see these things where they're like, okay, he's gonna assume that his girlfriend's being taken, especially after he just heard this story and like a
Yeah.
whole thing. So yeah, everybody just needs to sit down and talk to each other. All right, just sit and
Right.
talk.
Right.
Val's asking Johnny or Danny, who's less dumb to you so far?
Ooh. Boy, they're both equally dumb. They're just dumb in different ways. Um, Johnny to me is very dumb about his life and the way like he's living and expecting things to go and expecting things to um just like happen without trying to understand them or work towards their cause. Like I'm thinking about his whole like reopening a dojo and then he basically just like chases away all of his students or like doesn't want to accept them because
Hmm.
they're not what he thinks they should be. And
Sure.
I like that he's on the journey of like overcoming those things, even though
Yes.
when he first does them, I just want to smack my head and be like, come on, guy. Like life
Yeah.
is literally handing you opportunities and you're spitting in its face. And then Daniel is very dumb about misunderstanding things. He always takes things like the wrong way, especially when it comes to Johnny. I'm like, can you just be an adult? Like, I thought you were going to be better than this. People remind you that you're better than this. And you say
Right.
you're going to be, and then you just like fall back in these patterns of like, I'm going to deliberately misunderstand. And here's, the cause of our miscommunication that I'm going to totally ignore and just take the wrong way. So, yeah. They're both
Yeah.
equally dumb, but they're trying to grow, so it's kind of fun to watch
Hmm.
both of them on this journey um that I'm thinking is going to be resolved now that spoiler alert for episode 8, we know who's kind of behind setting them up against each other. um
Yeah.
Daniel's cousin, who I've never liked, and now I feel very vindicated in not liking.
Yeah. I mean, like I was like, okay, a little prankster, but now he went to full on.
Too
I mean, we
far.
see the issues he's causing with the family, or is some tension there, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
And he burns
but
the
yeah,
car. It's a
yeah.
classic. Ugh.
it wasn't very well taken care of, but
No, it's terrible.
yeah.
But I get the sentiment behind it.
I like this show because it's so far mixing a good combination of, so it's hitting that tone right where
Mhm.
it's I think I remarked it's sort of heartwarming
Mhm.
in moments and kind of charming. Yeah, good mix of sincere with a little over the
Mhm.
top.
Yeah.
Um, and so they're hitting that balance decently, and that's what to me makes it more fun than the Karate Kid, which is a
Mhm.
pretty serious thing.
Mhm.
Um, and I also like the way the plot has been flowing.
Yes.
Um, Basically, there's plenty of things that you can see coming. It's like I could notate, oh, I see what's happening here. This he's going to become a girlfriend of the other, side, and like, this is how this is going to work out.
Right.
And that a lot of those things are telegraphed and obvious, but you want them to happen.
Yes.
Like they're satisfying things to have
Yeah.
happen and scenarios to see
Exactly.
unfold. And so I think a lot of people make mistakes in the attempt to be original, uh, just to be original. and not do the same thing and forego what is actually satisfying for a reason.
Right.
So it's striking that thing where it can't be so obvious that you know everything that's going to happen and it seems unrealistic that that would happen, but you know, also giving the appropriate payoffs and setups. So
Yeah.
I think it's happening that well.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, there's a lot of things that you see coming, but they happen in, not quite expected ways. Um, like this sort of like cross entanglement of, you know, Miyagi-Do and the teachings, that Daniel is trying to now impart unknowingly to Johnny Lawrence's son.
Yep.
And then of course Cobra Kai, and you think maybe uh Daniel Daniel's daughter, like who's she gonna date? Like at first we kind of thought like, oh, maybe she's gonna end up dating like Johnny Lawrence's son. Well, she kind of almost does that, and that she's now like dating his star pupil. So it's like, oh, I could see this like star-crossed lovers thing coming, even if I didn't guess right away which guy it was gonna be. There's still this like entanglement and thing that they're gonna have to sort out and discover. Like, oh, she's his daughter, and oh, like, Johnny Lawrence's son is working for Daniel, and yeah, kind of all these things that happen in very natural ways. None of it has so far has felt forced,
Right.
like you said, or being trying too hard to be original. They're classic setups, but they're being done in very satisfying ways.
Yep. Like the date with Miguel and Amanda was very cute, very charming, very well done. I liked the like Johnny recounting his tale of what why to be wary of the LaRussos, with backed up with footage from from Karate
Yeah.
Kid, and I'm like, I don't remember this well enough to know how hard he's spitting it, or if it literally can be seen from this side,
Yeah.
and this is, how justified is he? I mean, obviously everybody sees their own, through their own two eyes, and that's what they experience. But yeah, that would be a thing I'd be interested in rewatching the first movie for, is just to see how it comes off. And how like full of it he is there, or how genuine that is,
Yeah. Yeah. As someone who like watched The Karate Kid probably more recently, it's definitely a solid mix of, he's telling his own side. So of course he's more sympathetic to himself, or like thinks about his own motivations and not how they would come off to other people. Um, and then there's this mix of like, but does he have a point, in thinking these certain things, like this whole misunderstanding between him and Daniel over his girlfriend at the time, like, is a great example of, from his point of view, he still liked his girlfriend even though they had broken up, but they were just having a fight, so he thought that they were going to get over it. And Daniel's coming in thinking, well, she's, a free woman, so I can flirt with her if I want to, and I can go after her if I want to. And they both are coming from a technically right place. They're just not like seeing how each other sees the scenario. And that's like the start of their misunderstandings with each other, which is what happens, of course, in the events, like the current events of the show. A lot of the time, they're both coming from a decent place. They're just not quite meeting in the middle peacefully.
which is a delicate thing to balance, and like they could easily skew the wrong way, because I've been fortunate enough in this for the most part to not be internally shouting at the screen saying, why did you do that, you idiot?
Yeah.
Like there are things, again, it's miscommunication and stuff, but it hasn't gotten so bad yet.
Right. It's not
ridiculous. And I think that's pretty good. Yeah. And I like, for instance, it was a bit of a surprise. I was very happy that Robbie did not let his thug friends into the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. And because a lot of shows would make him have to go through his own forgiveness arc after this point, you know, his own mini redemption thing. And I think the showrunners here, the writers, correctly said he's already on his redemption story. We don't need to restart that. We don't need to cause, you know, there's sometimes it causes too much anguish, you know. There's already motivation enough for his character, and that they don't need to amplify it.
Yeah, so. I agree. That to me also was very satisfying. And I think it's even more of a right choice in the terms of when his true identity is going to be revealed to everybody. There's already a lot there to unpack. We don't need to add more to it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. The other impressive thing for me with this is I hate high school stuff. Movies and shows that deal with middle school and high school students, unless it's an anime.
I was going to say that's so funny.
I traditionally
because anime is so grounded in high school. And
but like it's so not grounded usually. That's the thing.
Right. That's
true.
True.
It's a foreign, you know, high school, middle school experience. And two, it's usually like what you see of school is them chatting or whatever a little in between class, and then they're off fighting monsters or something. Right. You know, it's just and there's these tropes and silliness that's involved often that it's just not reminiscent of our kind of born of the 80s sort of Breakfast Club bullshit that I just don't want to see. Yes, I couldn't care. And it's not because I was like beat up in school or something. I don't know what it is exactly. Like a therapist can pinpoint it, I guess. I just don't want to see it. So the fact that I am enjoying this yet, with all that drama stuff, is pretty good. That speaks well to the show.
Yeah, I think they have a nice mix of, you know, focus on the kids and focus on the adults. But it also, I feel like the fact that we both commented on Johnny and Daniel not quite moving on from their high school days also makes what happens with the kids in their high school experiences seem relevant to the show. And so it's not like it's not totally separate, and it's not superfluous to the plot because everything ties together well. But they also don't focus too much on the high school kids and their experiences to you know, the detriment of what's going on with the original characters from the Karate Kid. You know what I mean? Like everything feels very relevant. Everything feels not too overdone. And then it also ties into like these two grown men who clearly haven't left high school behind, and that's an issue for them.
Yeah, like Miyagi-san or Miyagi-sensei would say, is balance, right? It's just
balance.
Daniel says balance. So
I find the fact that like Johnny and Daniel haven't left high school in very different ways, I think. One of the really key parts of the show that like got me hooked right away, because I think it's one of those impacts on their characters that drives a lot of what happens moving forward in the series, where Johnny sort of felt like he peaked in high school and then everything's been downhill for him. Like the first episode really sets the stage of his life as just like downhill. He's an alcoholic, holding down a shitty job, a shitty apartment, like being kicked around, you know, in every aspect of his life. And then Daniel, seemingly successful and having it all and being that annoying guy who's like everywhere rubbing his success in, you know, Johnny's face. But he never really had to grow and mature emotionally beyond high school because he was such a success, and people just like sort of translated that into adulthood for him. So he hasn't really emotionally, I think, moved on from high school. Like he peaked there too, and it doesn't mean his life went downhill, but it doesn't mean his character developed well either. And that's where I think
Yeah.
some of his flaws come in. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic between our two main characters that they're going to eventually
I
have to work
mean,
out with each other.
maybe because he, the way I see that is the same old where you can have moved on or is convinced that you've moved on as you can be, and
Mhm.
then you get thrown into a room with people you only knew 30 years ago,
Mhm.
and you find yourself right back there,
Yeah.
so like emotionally it comes back to there, and you see people act differently. All of a
Mhm.
sudden they're like in their clique again or something.
Yeah.
And I
There's some
think that,
regression, yeah.
yeah, I think that's really easy for people to do. It's kind of
Mhm.
like you associate a smell with something in particular. Well, you can associate people
Yeah.
with situations and emotions and behavioral system, that you can regress pretty quickly.
Mhm.
And I like thematically the way that, you know, when we see Karate Kid, yeah, Daniel's on the rise,
Mhm.
and Johnny's already there, and then we see him take his plummet,
Mhm.
and so it works well. It's an easy inflection point for those characters to see. Like, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, really, does that moment make such a dramatic difference in your life?
Right.
But we get to see that, you know, something like this is confidence building, and we saw that we're starting to see anyways that Johnny's life at home wasn't very good anyway. It's just kind of the
Right.
thing he had was this.
Right.
So when that was done and he had defeat and the anger from his sensei and like an unforgiving father and stuff,
Mhm.
then yeah, you can see things starting to fall apart easier. So the cheesy auto ad sales. I mean, I have to say, it would be a tough call if both local car dealerships, one gave me a free bonsai tree and the other one gave me a free boba. I mean, one lasts longer, but man, boba is one of my favorite drinks. So
I was gonna say
that's a tough
you're
one.
like both of their target demographic, John.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. So I don't know. Japanese shrubbery or Korean drinks, tea drinks.
Yeah, we haven't seen Cole in a while. We haven't really focused on our ad sales and that sort of like competition in a while. So we'll see if he comes
He's got
back.
new competition to worry about. Yeah.
Moving
Yep.
on to karate competition. Yeah. Yeah, we're
But
clearly approaching like the season finale and the climactic moment, obviously, of they're re-entering the world of karate competitions.
yep.
Um, so I get that that's less focused, but that was just like a random plot hole I thought of the other day. I was like, oh, wonder what happened to that guy.
Yeah. I love the like he says, "Oh, I love these bananas. They're
No.
plantains." Oh, in America we say bananas. That's pretty rich. Um,
Or in America, if you're my mother, you call them plantations. And
what?
the very nice waiter who brings them to you keeps a straight face and says, "You're welcome, ma'am," while me and my father laugh hysterically. Yeah,
Is that he does that knowingly or just
nope, that was a total mistake, but it's definitely what my mother thought the waiter told her. So, yeah, so she very honestly called them plantations, and the waiter very honestly was a gem and did not make fun of her, even if my father and I did. So,
That's funny. I love the way they keep like both students here. Miguel and Robbie are both growing and improving as people, gaining more confidence, feeling more, sure of themselves.
yeah.
but with very different teachings. You know, I loved early on, like he's, Johnny's telling him to clean the windows. And like, is there any certain way? Is the opportunity? No, just whatever,
Yep.
Whereas Johnny's or Daniel's like, no, this very specific thing is part of your training, wax on,
Yep.
wax off, whatever, it's, so I like that they're both coming from, it's one is a system of balance and peace and harmony, and the other is like strike first, be aggressive, be confident, like it's they're two different things but creating the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I like that that yin and yang that's involved here with the characters and their teaching methods and the whole thing. So
yeah, they both kind of get their cool payoff moments, where Miguel's kind of in his first fight and he's able to defend himself and, indeed, more than defend himself and fight off kind of these horrible school bullies. But then also Robbie's got his cool moment where it all comes together, not only when he's finally fighting his sensei and figuring out that he basically learned karate, but also in standing up to those two, I'm not going to say friends, like basically thugs.
Business acquaintances.
Yeah. shady business acquaintances. And he's able to do the same thing. They both have their really cool moments. So that's kind of fun.
I think the cringiest moment for me in the show has been when Daniel's preparing sashimi.
Yes. Oh,
the date.
It was so pretentious. It was yeah.
He was like, oh, I feel bad, but then he's like, oh, fish sticks are dope. I don't like fish. Fish sticks are dope. And I was like, oh my god, there's so much wrong with this scene right now and your characters. It was so bad.
Yeah,
it was so bad. And so on one hand, that you don't like sashimi and fish sticks are dope is bothersome, and on the other hand, you should have asked if the kid liked sushi, because
right.
I mean, a lot of people like sushi, but a lot of kids don't or haven't had it yet or whatever. Right. So
well, and it's not exactly introduction sushi that he's preparing. It's straight to sashimi, which is like all raw fish. There's no, you've got to roll with other things so you can sort of ease into it. So yeah, that to me was also a very cringe moment. And, when he's like mentioning like, oh, I picked up this knife in Okinawa, and like the kid doesn't care about that. It's like,
if he was a cool kid, he would.
It's a weird like humble brag about where you've been and what you've been doing and your specialized knife and my specialized sashimi that I just prepared. It was cringe, max cringe.
I'd like I've been impressed. I wasn't sold from episode 1. I think it took episode 2 to get me into it. And so that's why Ashley didn't keep going either. It's like, oh, it's all right, but I think, once we got into episode 2, things started to pick up pace, started to empathize with Johnny more, understand him a little better. And now I really like the interactions he has with the kids, and I love a comeback story, and could totally see, could totally see Johnny and Miguel's mother. It's like, that's going to be working. That's going to be happening. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about it. You got other things that I didn't look through your notes.
Yeah, I feel like what I really like about the show, and I think what's going to not make me, but keep me watching, at least for a while, because I'm still interested, and it hasn't hit a point where I'm like, oh, done yet, is Johnny's character and how, they set him up in the first episode, and it's a little hard to empathize with him. He's just sort of feeling like such a loser. He's not doing anything with his life. It's not, you don't tend to sympathize with characters who don't do anything for themselves. And then, like you said, in episode 2, we kind of have him at least trying. And then the following episodes have continued to see him try, which I think is one of the compelling reasons why he works as a redemption, like in his redemptive arc, I guess. But one of the things I like is that Johnny changes. Like, he has a lot of old notions about Cobra Kai, about what it is, about what kind of being a man is. And he teaches some of them to his students, and then sometimes he allows his students to teach him, you know, when he's at first set against having girls enter the dojo, but then he sees Aisha come in and just like wail on Miguel, and he's like, okay, cool, girls are in. um or, you know, he says like, this is the way that you're a man in Cobra Kai, and he kind of like fun of a bunch of his students, and then he's like, okay, well, that really wasn't maybe the greatest idea that I ever had. Maybe I'm not going to apologize about it, but I'm not going to like continue taking that teaching tactic either. So I like that he's got these like kind of leftover notions that he's slowly realizing, like, maybe there are good lessons in some of it, but I don't have to use all of the methods to teach them. And that's kind of
I think
been fun for me.
Yeah, he's finding his way as a teacher, you
Mhm.
know. Like
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's one thing to teach adults
Mhm.
versus kids for
Yeah.
one. And yeah, it's you know, he's always been the student, and a
Mhm.
student to a pretty abusive sensei.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, you're gonna reteach a lot of the ways that you did or that you were taught. But he's, he's finding new ways to do it, and
Mhm.
tempering it with. I think the important thing with him is empathy. He
Mhm.
has like whatever notions he has and stuff. Then to me, like with what's her name? Is it Tanya? Um, the first girl that they brought in, like he was against it, but then heard her story,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, these kids are mean, these kids are dicks to you, and so he can instantly empathize with people, I think,
Mhm.
when he does get the chance to, when he does talk to someone, when they do
Yeah.
actually talk it out. So, and
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard for
sometimes it's
me.
unconventional advice, and then it pans out, and
Yeah.
sometimes it won't be the best advice.
Yeah, it was hard for me at first because I kept thinking, you know, you're not empathizing with these kids, but really you kind of should, because you're a lot closer to their lives than you think you are.
Yeah.
You know, you're not exactly a winner here either. You know, you've
Yep.
done some things, and you're kind of like on the tougher side of life right now. And then, like I said, you know, he hears their stories, he empathizes, he gets, even if he doesn't get it initially, he sort of like gets to the core of what they're really talking about and says, look, I can address that.
Yep.
This might be the specific issue you're having, but it really boils down to, confidence, which is obviously one of the big things this show is about, or like self-respect
Yep.
or courage. And, maybe at first this doesn't seem to go with those things, but at the heart of it, this is what I want Cobra Kai to be about.
Hmm. Yeah, and they um a lot of people, over time a person can accrue wisdom,
Mhm.
um and then fail to use it.
Mhm.
So I think that, it's one of those things. When it starts, it's like, yeah, why should I be listening to you? Look what you've done with your life. Nothing.
Mhm.
Well, the sad thing about people is, being the imperfect things that we are, you can learn a lot through your life and then do nothing with that knowledge. You
Yes.
know, I have an uncle that was genius level. Like he just amazing photographic memory recall,
Mhm.
um, and was part of Mensa, I think. And
Wow.
but he just didn't do anything with his life. He just didn't. And because he didn't have, now that's intelligence versus wisdom. But my point is that you can have a lot of tools at your disposal that you don't use. So he's imparting great wisdom to these kids, but he has not lived up and used his own advice, And so, it's do what I say, not what I do. And so it's encouraging to see him impart wisdom and then begin to use this stuff himself. When he starts to clean up his own apartment and stuff, that's huge. Starting to take control of your own life. You're telling these kids to take control of theirs. Well, now you can start to do the same here for yourself. And so like his little speech to the panel, about how I'm making a difference in these kids' lives and they're making a difference in mine. That's great. So.
Yeah, even though we didn't end on the season ending episode, we kind of ended on a really great one in that sense. Like this is kind of the peak of his, redemption here as he's realizing, like you said, I need to apply these lessons to my own life, not just inside my dojo. Like I am coming from the place of already having achieved them. They're teaching me to, reach higher and achieve more myself. So episode 8 was a great one to end on. And I love the title, Molting, kind of like shedding your old skin and becoming something new. So it was kind of a cool high to see. So.
Well, hopefully it doesn't all come crashing down with the ghosts of the past and the very recent past even. And who knows what we get. Like, I can only hope that he's going to get there and they're going to talk sensibly, but I feel like that's not going to happen, Yeah.
But maybe after the tournament, after there's been some, cool fight scenes. Oh, that was the other thing I did want to say, about the show. I like that the karate that they're showing us and like the fight scenes that they're showing us, they're not all smooth and natural and perfect. They've got some cool moments to them. But especially with like the kids fighting, sometimes like things look really awkward. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that about the choreography of this, the fight choreography that, it's not always going to look super cool. It's not always going to look graceful. I mean, we have to have some cool moments, but sometimes like you definitely like make the wrong kick or like fall on your face and it's fine.
At this point, it's I'm happy with the blend of realism versus ultra realism. It starts with, okay, one kid versus 3. The kid's not going to win. He gets beat up. You do your best or whatever. They amp it up when he finally takes him down in the cafeteria and it becomes a little ultra reality. But it feels right that we got to progress some in his ability. Like even if he's likely still going to be overpowered and get beat up because he's outnumbered, it's cool, and the stuff where people instantly just flip one another without the other person knowing, that kids do this and stuff or whatever. Like there's fantasy elements to this, but it's been believable, when Robbie gets accosted by his 2 buddies. It's a good fight. Like he knows some moves. He's a little surprised that this is working, and ultimately he's probably going to lose, but is able to point out the camera and, he holds his own against the 2. So that's a realistically well done thing.
Right. So. It's a realistic ending to a fight that he wasn't going to win, but we needed him to win in some way.
Right.
And this works. Like, he hasn't really fought much, so it would be a little unbelievable if he was just like, oh yeah, I got all the moves and I took down these 2 guys. The camera is like a save in him winning that fight. So yeah, I think I can't say
how relieved I am that he's not Billy from Stranger Things. like so far gone, so far irredeemable,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Okay, I
that
see what you mean.
he's just a snot. He's been wrecked. Like
Yeah.
you can't be, you know, he's settled in his life of crime and he's okay to
Hmm.
kill people, you know. He's like he was a kid that was trying it. He wasn't bad. He got mixed up in some things. They could have made him the villain of the show in a way.
Hmm.
And he's not the villain of the show. He's a kid that his dad walk out on him and stuff. And now his mom doesn't give a shit about him either. So
Hmm.
like it's he has a good story and he's not just a caricature of the bad kid with the
Right.
switchblade in the crime and drugs. So
Right. Right. Agreed. Yeah, a lot of the characters, they're not super deep, but they feel, for how much we've explored character in Cobra Kai, feel real.
mhm.
They're not
Yep.
like this show is never going to be like a deep character dive and like what's in human motivation and what drives us all, and it's never going to get that place, but nobody
Never
feels
say
one.
never.
That's true. I shouldn't. I've got a whole other two seasons to watch, but everybody doesn't feel like they're one dimensional. They do feel like they've got something.
Yep. Yep. Except for maybe the cousin or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so far he's just a jerk. Oh,
Families, everybody's got
yep.
that one member of their family. They're like, oh man.
Yep. All right. I think that's about it. There's more person could talk about in there, but um
I think we've covered
I
everything major.
ultimately enjoy it, and I'm excited to see the last couple episodes here, and
Hmm.
hopefully they're not terrible. So then I want to keep going with the rest of it.
Yeah, I gave it a thumbs up on Netflix. I
Before it's done,
yeah, I did.
oh
I
my gosh,
did.
risky.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to take it back. But for now, through the first 8 episodes, I give it a Netflix and a real life thumbs up. Like
Nice.
Cobra Kai is
Perfect.
good.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens next week. WandaVision is coming out at the
Mhm.
end of next week, so I don't know. We'll maybe work something out there. I'm under the understanding that you're excited for that show as well. You
I
plan
am
to watch that show?
very excited for that show. Yes. Wanda and
So,
Vision are two of my favorites. Um, and I just think the trailers for this show just show like this amazing imaginative scope that I'm truly intrigued by. So I think
yeah.
it's going to be good.
Underused characters at this point in the
Yes.
MCU, so I'm excited to see what they do here.
Hmm.
Thank you to our viewers today, Spudge Wiggle and Lucas333 and Fitness Trainer. You can catch Lucas333, that's with a K, usually 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, streaming, and I'm often there with him in some sort of game. So that's on Twitch. Thank you to Killing the Flower for our theme song. You can check out their content on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, that sort of thing. And you should follow us here on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, all those sorts of things. Leave comments, give us feedback, all that sort of thing. We're not like the big boys that get upset and butthurt by the comments and then have to turn them off. Some videos I watch now or whatever, it's like, shockingly, the video comments are turned off now. Tired of hearing it. We're not tired of hearing it yet, so
Nope, bring it on.
Yep. So yeah, we're here once a week, and keep it tuned into Twitter to find out when, I guess. And otherwise, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week, Andrea.
Sounds good. Happy New Year and cheers, everybody.